famous detectives had been arrested and sent to prison for 33 years and 3 months. Of course this was not true, but everybody believed it, and Mr. and Mrs. Twist's business was ruined. There was nothing for them to do but give up being detectives and open an ice cream parlour. Listening to their parents' stories, Max and Maddy soon found out a great deal about how to be private detectives. They also learned a lot from the books that lined the walls of their parents' study. There was a very interesting book called 200 Simple Disguises. This book itself could be disguised. If you turned it upside down, it looked exactly like a cheese sandwich, and if you laid it on its side, it looked like an old hairbrush. But their favourite one of all was called How to Follow People Without Being Seen Ever. This book had been written by Mr. and Mrs. Twist themselves, and there was a large photograph of them on the back cover, just to prove it. In their spare time, when they were not reading books about private detection, the two children liked to play a game called Clue. This was great fun, as it involved trying to find out who'd committed a crime just by asking questions and writing down the answers. Max and Maddy were so good at it that they won every time they played with other people. And when the local newspaper announced that there would be a grand Clue competition to find the champion player of the year, it was no surprise that Max and Maddy both entered. It was not all that easy. They found themselves up against very stiff competition, but at last, after a grand finale filled with nail-biting suspense, the judges announced that the first prize had been won jointly by the two of them. Mr. and Mrs. Twist were extremely proud. "This proves it," crowed Mrs. Twist. "Detective talent runs in our blood. I've always said that." It was wonderful to have won the competition, but what happened next was even more exciting. Just a few days later, when the mailman brought the mail, there was a letter for them with an unusual stamp on it. "Look," said their mother, handing Maddy the letter, "a letter from Switzerland. Do you know anybody there?" Maddy shook her head and started to open the letter. As she read it through, her jaw dropped with surprise. "What does it say?" asked Max in a very excited voice. "Read it out loud. It's addressed to me, too." Maddy read the letter, and now it was Max's turn to be astonished. For the letter from Switzerland was a very exciting one indeed. The person who wrote it, Mr. Conrad Huffendort, a well-known and very rich Swiss banker, had read about their success in the Clue competition and asked them whether they could possibly solve a mystery for him. "If you can play Clue so well," he wrote, "then I'm sure you'll be able to solve a mystery for us here in Switzerland. I'm a banker, as you may know, and I'm very worried about what has been happening. There have been some very large bank robberies, and the police just cannot seem to solve the crimes. Do you think you could help? After all, you're terribly good at Clue." Max and Maddy looked at their mother. "Do you think we could?" they asked. "Poor Mr. Huffendorf sounds very worried." Mrs. Twist thought for a moment. Most parents would say no, of course, but most parents don't run ice cream parlours with 37 flavours. So Mrs. Twist said, "Yes, of course you can go." She had been a private detective, you see, and she knew that you could never turn down a real mystery. Never. Suddenly, Maddy noticed a tiny P.S. on the letter, and she read it out loud carefully. This is what it said. "P.S. Of course we'll reward you handsomely for your help. We can either pay in money, we've still got a little bit left, or, if you prefer, in bars of chocolate. Switzerland, as you know, makes the best chocolate in the world. So you just decide, money or chocolate, but not both." Which would you have chosen, I wonder? Really? Is that your answer? Well, well. And which do you think Max and Maddy chose? Well, carry on listening. You'll find out later. Chapter 2. Wanted for Bank Robbery. "Welcome to Switzerland," said Mr. Huffendorf, taking off his hat and giving a small bow. Max and Maddy, fresh from their journey by plane and train, saw a small, rather round man standing in front of them. He was wearing a black coat with a velvet collar and tiny, pebble-like spectacles. He was very polite and insisted on carrying their suitcases for them. And when they were sitting in his car, which was waiting outside, he put a thick blanket over their knees, just to make sure that they were warm enough. As they sped along the streets on the way to Mr. Huffendorf's house, they saw snow everywhere, on the roofs of the houses.